I'm joking. When it comes to a lot of content creators I've spoken to that play gacha, like a lot of them have many kids, right? Like the gacha audience is not 14-year-olds. It's usually like people in their 30s, you know, maybe late 20s up to like mid 30s that have disposable income, and a lot of those people have families as well.
Right.
At least in my experience. Maybe I'm playing the wrong gachas, but like most of the people that I talk to seem to have families. I don't. I mean, I have family, but I don't have like a wife and kids. I just got a significant other.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we both see our analytics on YouTube videos. The majority of the people is like that 30 range, you know?
Exactly.
So,
I also just appeal to older people because I'm kind of boring.
well, I'm 34. I'm guessing you're somewhere around there.
Yeah, I
Like-
just turned 30 last month.
Yeah. So, I think you just naturally end up appealing to the same audience that you typically are anyway, you know?
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh.
Like, and I'm really bad at faking. Like, I can't just be like, hey there, guys, what's going on? Plat is back with another crazy 10 pull. Like, I just can't. Like, I would be able to I see why people that do that have to go to therapy, you know? It's like, I can't maintain that level of mask for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't think anyone that watches me would actually enjoy that. Z-Box says that they have a wife and one kid.
Nice.
All right. Do you happen to have the stream open to see chat?
I'm opening it right now. Opening it up right now. You went over there and went live on me, and I was not prepared for the live action.
Oh, do you want me to? I can go off live.
No, you're good. You're good now. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just gonna pop into it now. Let me make sure I get it all muted on here.
Sorry. The chat says you have an echo, but that's on my end, not your end, if you're wondering. I don't have my cats ate my headphones, and I just haven't bought new headphones yet. So everything comes through my TV, and this microphone sometimes picks it up.
Ah. So there's a little bit more light, so I don't look so washed out. But I actually end up like having to turn, because that's where my camera's at. I need to, since I don't stream, I actually don't have a camera right in the front where I'd like to have it. So eventually,
No problem. So like, I kind of like, personally, the way, like if I could put my camera here, so it's a little more direct on, and I'm kind of always looking at it while playing. But I don't know. I kind of like the looking towards the center of the screen. I feel like it kind of draws the eyes to people to the content as opposed to my face. But also, I was told that was a quote-unquote professional way to do it, and I'm just copying what people said to do. They said, because actually, this is actually flipped. Like, this isn't even the way my camera is actually the opposite direction. If I transform, no, what is it? I don't remember. But flip vertical. Yeah, I'm actually on the ceiling. I don't know if you could tell.
Yeah, I just seen you go upside down. There you go.
Yeah, we're on our way. So normally, like, I'm looking the opposite direction, but someone's like, hey, that looks kind of lame if you're looking off into nothingness on the screen. So flip your thing horizontally. That way you look better. I was like, all right, shit, I don't care. That's literally a button. I don't care.
Yeah, it works. It works, so.
You like my camera position too? Thank you very much, Descent. Or Decent. What a decent thing to say. Oh, is this an infinite loop? Oh, this is perfect. I didn't realize you could just run around this square without ever having to interact. That way now my phone won't turn off.
There you go.
I have the game up. I don't plan on doing anything really, like, because if I actually play it, I feel like it's distracting to the conversation, because I already have like the attention span of a child.
I'm about the same way, so it's fine.
So I guess, you know what? Let's talk about Octopath a little bit if you're ready.
Sure, let's go. Yeah.
I'm kind of curious about your experience with the game so far. I only like I specifically don't take offense because there's a reason. I don't watch any other content creators' content, and it's not because I'm a Plat supremacist. I just I don't want to watch someone's content and then, especially with someone that clearly knows some things that I don't know because I haven't looked in JP at all. And I don't want to like gain that knowledge and information and then regurgitate it on my channel. Not, you know, it feels like stealing content in a way if I learn stuff from another person's content. Unless I've already made a video on the thing, then I'll go back and watch someone else's take on it. But I'm not familiar with much of your content or your experience with the game overall.
Okay, so I wasn't going to cover this game at all. I was planning to go a different direction. I was covering Echoes of Mana pretty much exclusively, but I was looking at maybe trying out some Noah's Heart or something like that. And I apologize for whatever you might be hearing in the background right now of my child. But I tried this game when it came out, and the first day I loved it so much, I was like, no, I think I'm just going to switch gears. I'm going to cover this game. So. Which is kind of strange because like I didn't play the original game, so I'm one of the probably the only creator that didn't, you know, touch the original one.
There's still a lot of echo. Here, I'll try to fix that. This is definitely on me then, and I already have it pretty quiet, but let me turn you down a bit more. Did you guys understand what he said though? Basically, you know. He was playing Echoes of Mana. It's kind of funny. This is like literally like you're reading my biography. I started covering Echoes of Mana. I personally kind of fell out of love with the game a little quick. I don't know if it was the combat. I thought the combat was reasonable. But I think what I kind of fell out of love with was all the characters felt like, I don't know, like the characters felt very samey and uninteresting, right? It wasn't like they have their own kits in a way. It's just like, I just go up and auto attacks. This guy has a strong active and a strong, you know, and a strong super ultimate, but I don't know. It just like it didn't keep my interest from a character standpoint. I didn't feel like I could try a bunch of different builds with different characters like I can in some other games, but I think at its core it was a pretty fun combat.
I enjoyed it for what it was, and it just seemed like it was actually a little bit more less free-to-play friendly than Octo, and so it. You know, I still have it downloaded. I still log in every now and then, but I just haven't felt like covering it for, you know, since this game came out. So I just haven't. So, but I remember seeing a couple of your videos early on in that game as well. So I figured you had dropped off from it for roughly the same reasons that you just mentioned. So.
Yeah, it was mostly, so I dropped off it when Dislight came out because I was like, oh, Dislight's a turn-based RPG. This is way more my style. So I kind of went into Dislight for a while, and Dislight just kind of, you know, pardon my language, I think it just kind of turned into like a shit sandwich. Like the game was like really fun for like maybe a week, and then everything about the design of the game, like after you get through the initial content and the initial boost of like, oh, the honeymoon phase, like it just felt like a terrible game to me. In terms of the entire gameplay loop was relic farming, which I find inherently unfun because you grind for 100 hours to get like a 5% improvement. The free to, you know, it was impossible to get banner characters. It was even the combat itself was just very like, because there was a lot of PvP, it was very whale dominant. So then I just quickly fell off of that, and I was like, I know Octopath is coming out. I'm just going to switch to Octopath. I know it's a turn-based RPG. It's not going to be as popular. Not as many people are going to view it as, you know, not as big of an audience because it's not made by Lilith Games with $100 billion trillion. I mean, it's made by Square Enix, but Lilith Games actually really cares about their mobile games. Square Enix just kind of like has mobile games more. So yeah, that's kind of why I jumped off. But it's interesting. I only played the original Octopath a month before this game came out, and I didn't finish it. I only played it for about 10 to 20 hours, and I was like, I decided specifically to not play it anymore because I was afraid of like, all right, I'm playing it too close to the release of Octopath. I'm either going to like the combat system in COTC more, or I'm going to like it in the original more. And I'm afraid if I like the original combat more and mechanically more, then I'm going to be frustrated the whole time I play COTC. And it was kind of like vice versa. It was like, if I don't want to go back and play it now because if I like COTC more, then it's going to be like a negative experience. I'm like, oh man, this part of the game kind of sucks. And the story doesn't seem relevant. It's mostly, you know, it's mostly fan service for COTC is the only thing you're missing. There we are. Mr. David, this looks like this is going to be exactly 4% again. It's different, but it's because you have almost a 1% chance and a point. You have a 1.2% chance right here to pull the unit. So it's not that these numbers are lower because these numbers are higher. Like I haven't done the exact calculation, but it's like, I just think that it's going to come out to 4%. I don't think they've ever had a banner that isn't 4% for a 4.5/5 star yet. Anyway, hi there, friend. How you doing?
Anyway, I'm back. That was a wild 5 minutes.
That was. You want? Okay. You know what, David? I'm sorry. We're gonna put the whole stream on hold because we're gonna do something David wants to do. But you owe me $5, David. Then not literally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times 9. And maybe it's gonna be way higher. I don't know. All right, we'll go do 1.6. Remember 1.6, everybody.
Am I still pretty
1,
low
2,
for
3,
you?
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, plus 1.6 plus 1.2 is 3.999997. David, what are you looking to win? David, everyone gets one. That was your one. You don't get another one for at least a month. That was your request. All right, we're back. All right, so we were talking about your experience with Octopath, and then I just went on to a long rant because that's what you do as a streamer. You get used to talking a lot.
Sure, yeah.
So outside of what are you comfortable talking about? Like, how far are you into the game? What's your do you have a spending level that you feel like disclosing, or like where your account's at, what your levels are, kind of where are you at in the game?
My spending level is currently 0, and I've done 5 multi-polls, and that's it.
Wow. Okay.
Oh.
That's very good.
Can everybody hear me now? I'm not sure. I know there was some volume issue.
Yeah. How's
there.
the volume? Is he echoing? Which would be on my end, not his end. I'll buy a new mic. I figured instead of investing in the gacha, which isn't investing, instead of spending on the gacha, maybe I do invest in a microphone and some headphones. So I don't want.
Ended up pulling anyway.
Yeah. I already know in my video, I'm going to tell people Hasumi is not worth pulling. I haven't watched your video. What was your general consensus?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of the same, you know, kind of like, hey, you know, if arena's really important to you, then sure, but like, you know, we already have Lynette and Primrose. If you have one of those, I just don't see why long term that this is where you want to spend rubies on. The earlier these people come, the quicker they go into the general pool, and once that happens, the easier they are to get as an off banner when you're pulling on something else.
Exactly. That's exactly. I get so much pushback when I say that kind of stuff, but also I do agree 100%. I do think that I think the reason people are maybe overhyping this unit a little bit is that 5% SP recovery thing, which is kind of neat, but you get like 10% recovery in the back row already every turn. And so it is nice. So your front row and back row are getting their SP back, but I don't know. It's like really slow. If you think about how much the back row gets, if you half that every turn, it still takes a long time.
Yeah. You know, right now I use my main healer is Theo. And Theo would be, you know, it's really great for that region. And I, you know, not gonna lie, it'd be nice to have her, that I could use her for some front heals while switching out the two of them for SP reasons. So she's not a unit that I would say, if there was a step up of her out with, you know, somebody else, I'd be like, yeah, pull in the step up. It's just really hard for me to sink 300 rubies on the normal banners as a completely free-to-play, trying not to, you know, dump everything and then potentially not even hit the unit, you know? Yeah. I don't even have 6k crystals or rubies, and so I can't even pity her if I wanted, you know?
So my general advice has been to free-to-play players is save until you can hit pity, so you can guarantee to get something for your value. But if your account, you feel like you need more power to clear content, that the first step on step up banners can be worth it. I'm a little skeptical for players who spend money to even do that, But for free-to-play players, a 50% off multi can be a pretty good deal. But if you're going to spend money, I tend to think that you should do the 10 pay gems per day, because it could be up to $30 a month. But if you're spending money, that's 300 gems for 3 multis and a guaranteed 5-star. You can't beat that value in anything else, including Step Up. But you can't use free-to-play gems on it. So that's come for free-to-play players. I think doing the first Step Up can be a good deal if your account needs it to clear the content.
Yeah. And part of the reason I've hoarded back all my rubies is so I make sure that I have enough for when Step Ups come out that I can do the first 2. It's like 350 for 20 pulls. So, you know, I'm set for a while. I have, you know, 3,800 left. So.
Got it. I'm going to see if I can do this. All right. So that's kind of where I agree. I'm going to see if that I can, I'm trying to just mute by putting my shirt here, hopefully block the sound from coming around, because they wanted you louder, but also then I don't want the echo. This is just bad setup for me because I don't do that many collabs. But so I'm sorry, we kind of got off topic when you were telling me about your state in the game. You're 100% free to play. You did how many multis?
5. Today I think I went to 5. Let's see. I did 2, 3. Yeah, I think I'm at 5 multis now, 5 or 6. Just from Step Up banners, I did the first couple of them, and then I threw a 10 pull at, who was it? Primrose, and I just didn't catch her. So I have 3 5-star units, Theo, Fior, and Sophia from the beginning. So that's been enough so far.
You have Theo, Fiora, and who else?
Sophia,
man, those are 3 badass units to have if you got to have them.
Yeah, it'll make it rough because you know, Sophia's not going to help at all in this tournament here. But I'm also under the opinion that, you know, this tournament will be permanent content, and I'm not worried about clearing it right away. I'll attempt it and just to see how much it face rolls me.
Absolutely. So
yeah.
Sorry, really quick before I comment on that, is the echo bad, or are you guys able to manage it if there is an echo? Or is there no echo? It looks like there might be an echo. I'm just gonna have to, when we do this again, I won't say if, I'll say when we do this again, I'll buy some headphones. That way I don't need to even worry about it. Because then your sound would just be coming through here, not through the television.
Right.
But yeah, I like that. I like your insight. Have you completed the main story of the game?
Oh yeah. Yep. Probably 3 weeks ago now. So yeah, I was able to do that. It was super tough. That last fight was real tough. Now the update that came out last week, I haven't done those chapter yet. But that's probably something I'll pick up this over the next couple of days and do. I went really hard on the game the first 3 or 4 weeks, and now I'm kind of just taking it a little bit easier so I have something to do. I'm actually heading out of town for a wedding this next week, and so I'm trying to save me some stuff to do when I'm just kind of bored waiting around for wedding stuff to happen. So
I'm actually happy. So 100% free to play players definitely can clear all the content in the game currently. What level were you when you got there? Because obviously, like 3.5 stars, only being able to hit level 40 probably wouldn't have been ideal.
I got lucky, and I had a team that was full 4 stars and 5 stars at that point. For whatever reason, I hit the right people to not have 3.5. I did it early in the game, but by the time I hit that story mode, it was all 4s. So they were all close to their kind of max-ish potential, but I did a lot of grinding for XP, and my ad cats were really generous to me, so that was kind of nice. And I did the trick using mini, where it gives an extra 10% XP for my 5 stars to try and get them up quicker. So just those little things helped out enough to kind of be able to get there. So.
And outside of that, have you done any of the BT weapons?
Yeah, so I've seen how to do all of them. It's actually one of the things I'm going to be working on grinding here soon. What I wanted to do is I wanted to go through and try to level up all my different units and work on the hunts part of stuff. And so now I'm kind of entering into that. I kind of wanted to see what the correlation was going to be of when they were going to release the next set of 4. Um, so we still don't have that yet. So we'll have to wait and see for that. But now we have plenty to farm, and now that we have the tower, that'll help too. Hopefully, they just start releasing more of the zones for that.
Yeah, it's kind of like, did you expect there to be anything added to the game today? I think today would have been the day. Or did you expect a completely dead week and just a banner?
I expected a dead week with the idea that people were going to spend money to prep for the arena. Is really what I thought. So I
Got
looked at
it.
and said, okay, they didn't have it like lined up exactly at the beginning of September, and technically we're still in August, so it probably
Yeah.
meant a week out. So my theory was the 7th. So we'll see if that happens. So
I will say, when I was really confident that today was the day about 5 days ago, I also thought there was only 30 days in the month and that today would be the first. And I'm like, okay, I'm just uneducated and kind of dumb.
no, you're good there. There is I don't know, lacking of content, but only for those of us who are playing crazy amounts. There's still what I would probably say is a good 70% of the population out there is still working on completing the first story mode, because it took a lot of kind of grinding to get there. So I think the game is going to pace around that. So I have a full belief that these people have so many metrics behind the scenes that they kind of look to see when people hit certain thresholds to be able to release more content. It's always that balance game of keeping the people who play more happy with the amount of content, and not running over all the other people who are still kind of working their way through it.
He's literally boosted as almost as high as he can go.
Do I need to start yelling? Do I need to move my mic closer?
No, because I could just turn you up.
Oh, okay.
So you just keep talking naturally. There might be some weird issue with the way my mic is picking stuff up. I don't know. But yeah, no, I tend to agree with you 100% actually. Like I think most players, I don't know about most at this point, but I mean a huge majority, or a huge amount of players at least, have probably not cleared all the content, right? I mean, the game has been out for a month, which is a long time, but it's only been out for a month that people downloaded it day one, essentially, right? Not everyone downloaded the game day one. I have 135 hours in the first month. And I definitely played more than the average person. Maybe not my average viewer. There's always someone in chat or this is like, oh, I've been done with the content for 6 months. And it's like the game's only been out for a month, and so there's always someone that's really, really far ahead. But I think a lot of the average players have they still have plenty to do, right? Not everyone has completed every traveler story, and then even for us at the end game, like I don't have max gear on all my characters. I don't have all the innocent weapons and all the Fenrir weapons, and I've only killed each of the BT bosses one time. I could still keep doing those. So there's stuff to do.
I think I do have innocent on everything for everybody. I did manage to like that was part of my daily kind of farming thing. And then I work on like a traveler story a day just to try and finish one of those up. But I'm saving those BT fights because I just wanted to get a little bit stronger, and then the next piece of the chapter, I'll have all that done before Arena drops next week. So
yeah, I mean, this is a good week to do it, right? Like, and honestly, like the Arena not coming out this week is like fine. From what I hear, we're already like way ahead of pace from where JP was when the game released. In terms of the banners we're getting are just kind of like different in a different order, and the when things are coming out seems to be basically just like faster, which is cool because that's one of the advantages of global. Because I imagine not getting Arena for another month in the game in its current state. That would be kind of a weird spot to be in. This would definitely be a side gotcha in that terminology. Then I mean, in a sense, like this game does feel kind of be built to be a side gotcha. They make the dailies pretty fun. And then when the content drops, there's some good, very engaging content, but then there's not a lot to do right now in between it. That might change as they add more permanent content to the game. There might be more and more stuff, or it might still be more one and done stuff that you come back every month to do.
Right.
I'm not really sure, but
that's really one of the things I appreciate most about the game is that it's not trying to dictate my time and when I'm playing. You get a lot of other games that are like, here's PvP, but you can only PvP in this 2-hour window, or here's a guild battle and you have to do it in such and such a time frame. And so being a single player game, it does have the advantage of being able to be a lot more casual and lax. And I really appreciate that as a stay-at-home dad that's kind of all over the place as it is. So
Yeah, and as a content creator, it may not be ideal, because I'm kind of running out of things to do to make, like, what do I make a video about? Like, I have to make, 7 videos this week with no new content added to the game, essentially. But that's not like, it doesn't make it bad for the game. It just, but like you said, like, I kind of like that, even though when I was playing other games, even Dragon Quest Tact, games with stamina systems, I'm like, I gotta log on every 6 hours or whatever to make sure I'm not burning stamina because I'm capped out. And this game is like, all right, I can log in. I could literally play for 5 minutes, complete my daily missions, get, and progress my weekly missions, and then just come back tomorrow if I really need to. Like the farming daily Kates, farming the 20-hour elites and stuff like that. Like, that's nice stuff to do, but I mean, you're not, like, your account isn't going to be crippled if you miss a day or two of that, or, even a week or two of that. The daily missions, and again, is mostly just for the gems than anything, just to start getting that currency up.
yeah, I haven't missed an opportunity for Ruby yet. So I've kept on the ball for all of those, of logging in and doing the dailies and the weeklies, and it's been okay. I've played quite a few Square Enix games. I started with FFBE, and then I did War of the Visions, and I've done Echoes of Mana. So I'm very familiar with how Square kind of does a lot of their sort of games and collabs and stuff like that. And you spoke about the kind of best way for a light spender is those daily purchases and stuff like that. And that's kind of what I think Square's really a common theme is that, hey, we want you to spend a little and you'll get a lot, but after you spend a little, then there's not a whole lot of good deals after that. And so it kind of tempts people into spending at least something. And right now, I'm kind of just playing a game with myself of how long can I wait to not spend and still have fun with the game.
That's very much what I felt when I was playing. I've played, I don't know if you know, but my previous game that I really kind of got my YouTube channel going was Dragon Quest Tact, which is another Square Enix game. Yep. And that game might be the most extreme case of, I mean, and again, I haven't played most of these gachas, but it was very much like when the game launched, the game was incredibly free-to-play friendly. It still is very free-to-play friendly. I know people that clear nearly all the content constantly that are free-to-play or like $5 a month, something like that, like very low spenders. And they had some great deals at launch, but the game is very payer unfriendly. Like, there's no way to spend money. It's either spend $0 to $5 a month and get pretty good value, or spend $2,000 a month to get any like additional value. Because if you get one copy of a unit, which is already hard, it's not very good. You need like 4 copies of a unit for all of its awakenings. And so, so far I've kind of, at least with the Square games I've played, I've noticed that they are, a lot of them tend to be free to play friendly, but then payer unfriendly, which is kind of a weird system to do it. But maybe it just encourages whales to spend more.
I think of the mentality, if I was to throw a guess out there, is they figure if you're willing to open your wallet up past that kind of $5 or $10 a month, then you must have enough disposable income that it doesn't really matter what deal they give you. You're going to pay to get what you want anyway.
Yeah, I still feel like, I always feel like they'd make more money. Like, I think this game actually has the perfect middle ground that I've always wanted in like Dragon Quest Tact. They have the $1 a day, the 10 paid gems a day. So it encourages you to spend $30 a month, but also it's what's perfect about it for me. I've got so many positive things to say about this is how bad gacha gaming is, that I'm excited to spend only $30 a month. But it's like, I like that it scales, right? You don't need to buy a $30 pass. You could do $10 a month for 3 months, $15 a month for 2, $5 a month for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 6 months. Like, it scales to your level of spending, and it's always a really good deal. So I think this is like a perfect way to monetize a game where it encourages everyone to spend a little bit of money at their own pace, because I feel like that's just much healthier than trying to get, but then it has the opposite, right? 200 pity. I want to spend 6,000 gems or $600 per unit to get 1 copy No Awakens. Like, that also sucks. You'll probably get the unit you'll probably get more than 1 copy in the 200, but the reason it's pity is because it's, you might totally not.
I mean, yeah, I've played War of the Regions long enough and had to pity units long enough on that game that I don't trust not having to pity for things now. So,
Exactly, exactly.
and I played that game at the beginning, which was just like you said, very spender unfriendly. Wasn't pities and stuff like that when that game launched. And today, now we're 2 years into it, and I no longer play, but it's much more spender friendly. You can spend very few and get a lot in that game, and that is probably where this game will head to eventually too. A year from now, a year from half now, they'll have to give some more incentivization to get people to spend, and so the deals will get better. So when you're first starting a game, I kind of learned from my FFBE experience and my War of the Vision experience that the worst time to spend and to go in is those first 3 months. Wait further in, and it'll get better. It'll get better deals, better units, things like that. As long as you're having fun. But if you're not having fun, then spend your currency, because if you're not playing to have fun, then don't play. That's kind of my thought.
Exactly. Like 100%. That's I'm gonna compare my experience. Like, you're gonna use Final Fantasy, I'm gonna use Tact, just because those are our previous experiences. But like in Tact, when it released, there was no pity at all. And so you were just pulling, and they always had the 4% rate in that game, which is way better than Dislight's 1% rate. Like, fuck that game. But then now they have a pity at like 150, or 150 pulls, which isn't like crazy. But now you have a pity at 150 pulls, and you're guaranteed a 5-star equivalent at 10 multis, and so like over time they keep adding these things to make it more and more, I won't say like necessarily easier, but more friendly to players of all spending levels. And that's just the way gacha goes, because one, they know there's a couple reasons. Is like, when a gacha comes out, they know that that's what they're going to make a big sack of cash, because everyone's going to be like, hey, this game's out. Everyone's like, yeah, I'll buy this. The people that already know they're going to spend are going to buy a $100 bundle. People that think they're going to spend a little bit are going to buy the good $20 bundles, and free to play players, more often than not, get tricked into spending $5 here or there anyway. So a lot of people spend a lot of money, and then as time goes on, they want to encourage spending, and that comes in the form of both power creep and better deals. So it's the worst. That's why I've gotten a lot of pushback recently for, and I won't say, it's not like people are mad at me. It's nothing like that, but it's like, I'm just like, hey, I think for the most part, step-up banners are kind of a trap for a lot of players, because people are spending 1200. Like, I think the first one for 150 is good, and it's reasonable to do the last one for 300 to get the 5, but still, I just don't recommend people do it most of the time, because it's like, you're still spending 1200 gems on release date units. They're going to be the weakest 5-stars. Like, we're only 1 month in. At 5 months now, at the 6-month anniversary, like, are these units going to be used? I'm sure probably a little bit, but you're likely just to pull them while you're pulling for shit that you actually want. So like, if you spend 1200 gems on these step-up banners, which come out basically weekly, by the way, they feel like they're there just to drain your gems for free-to-play players constantly, for people that want to get easy 5-stars. Then when things like, I know Cyrus will like eventually be in the general pool, but when he comes out, maybe it's going to take an extra month to get him in the general pool, so he'll be a month, like, quote-unquote weaker. You won't have gems for the limited time banners that aren't going to go into the general pool. I just overall think step-ups are generally a trap at this stage in the game. Once we're a year in and the general pool is 3 times, 4 times bigger, and there's just so many units you could get of different power levels, I definitely think there's more value there. But I don't think people should be spending on them right now.
I mean, it's hard to say, because at some point then it's like, what, you either spend nothing, and then you run into that, well, I want a new unit, or I'm missing so much in my team that it's hard to continue on with the content, or maybe you just plain like those units or whatnot. And so I try to leave a lot of room for that. And so my strategy has kind of been like, we get at least 720 a month from just logging in dailies, the gifts that we get and whatnot. So if I do the first 2 steps, and even if they have 2 step-ups a month, I'm still making more rubies than I'm spending. And that doesn't even account for the storylines they add in, the traveler stories that you do, and things like that. So as long as I'm staying above, 3K and working my way to 4 and 5 and 6 so I can pity other things later. Doing the first 2 on a step up I think is okay. And just you shoot your shot out there and see if you get lucky.
Yeah, so I should preface what I'm saying with 2 things. One, I think everyone should be free to play the game however they want, however they feel they're going to have the most fun. I don't care if you want to spend all your gems on general pool units and not save. I genuinely don't care. I only give my advice when people ask me my opinions on things for the most part. If they're like, hey, are you going to pull on this banner? And I'll be like, I'm not going to pull on this step up because I don't think step ups are value for people at my account. Or XYZ. But also, I do think especially like this is why I've tried to preface this for free to play players, the first step up for a half price multi. One of the reasons I do think that's like reasonable is because one, I mean, it's 50% off a multi, but also people need power level. Like you do need to pull to gain power level in this game to an extent. Like you're not going to beat the game with level 40, 4 stars, or 3.5 stars.
Yeah, you get so much influence just from having a new unit and unlocking that on the board that you get a lot of that kind of passive power just from leveling up your paths.
Exactly. Like there's no doubt if you're a free to play player, you shouldn't start the game and save 100% of your gems until the first, until Nier comes out or whatever. Like that's just not realistic in a sense that you're not gonna have enough power level to complete content. So like if you're coming up to a point where like I'm not having fun because the content's too hard, my level's too low, I need to be level 65 for Pardus, but I only have level 40 units. Like yeah, at that point you should be, when step ups come out, spending 150 gems to get your discount, maybe doing the second one for another discount. The 200 gem pull. But I think that you want to hedge your bets there and try to save where you can if you're asking for my advice. But I still think have fun and pull if you need to complete content, but don't. I don't know. I think people that like, hey, I just saved up 1,200 gems. They're already at the end game. They've completed all the content. They finally save up 1,200 gems and they spend it immediately to get a general pool unit that they're gonna get 100 copies of over the course of the next year. I think is a mistake. Is kind of how I'm trying to preface my criticism.
I definitely can like get behind that, and I think at any time, I think in my Ruby video or whatever, I can't remember which one I talked about polling, was that my strategy is I'm gonna always have 3K, because I'm gonna have 3K when that Bravely Default banner collab comes or Nier collab comes. I'm always going to have 3K. Anything above that, I'll kind of spend here and there, and it's mostly going to end up being step ups because I can freely spend, 150 or 350 and be able to get some pulls. Whereas, a brand new unit like Hasume, that's going to go away really quickly, and I have I'll probably get nothing for it. Is really what I think. So.
Yeah, and if you're gonna keep 3,000 specifically for so is it accurate that the limited time units are gonna have half the pity? It's gonna be a 100 pull pity instead of a 200 pull pity?
So it depends on the specific collab. They've ranged a little bit different, and so I don't want to like say, hey, this is how it's going to be, and then it turns out to be a little bit different. But I would say more often than not, from my looking at it, is that their pities are half to be able to get them. So we'll have to see. We'll see what they do for global. They could always change it. I don't know.
I'm always. The games I've played, they've either never changed anything or they've just straight up skipped events because they're like weird timing and stuff or whatever. So I've never seen them change anything to be strictly for the positive for global, which I think is weird because global does have, our culture is definitely more against gacha in general than in Japan, from what I understand. I mean, I'm not Japanese, I've never lived there, but I understand that it's much more like acceptable to be a whale in that game, where here you basically get made fun of, if not directly, at least on the internet, indirectly. So I always kind of hope that they make slightly better deals, but maybe that would cause too much kickback in their initial releases. Like, hey, we didn't get this, we deserve compensation because you ripped us off. I don't know. So what do you think the first what is it called? The first collab is?
When do I think it is, or what one do I think it'll be?
Both. I think the special event on the calendar, the roadmap, is probably it. That's my guess.
Here's I talked about this in a couple videos before, because I did like a whole thing on, hey, if you're looking for what limited units we have, here's like kind of a list and whatnot, and then what kind of collabs. And so I think the special one is either like Dorothea, our first kind of limited reoccurring banner that we're gonna get, or it'll be Bravely Default. I think they will keep in line. I don't think we're going to see Nier this early, because she's super strong. I don't think A2 will belong in the meta, because I think they're going to kill the people being able to spend money for any other units leading up to it, because they already have somebody who's really good.
That's
So
like super important to note. Even though there's not strictly a meta in a sense that you don't need to compete against other players to beat them because there's no PvP, there is a meta in a sense that if they release like let's say JP's strongest whatever warrior, I don't even know what they are, but let's say JP's strongest warrior is A2 or 2A. If they release that now, then like why would they ever release another warrior? Or no, if they do, no, they'll lose money on all those banners. So they're not incentivized to release overpowered characters early. They still want the power creep to be gradual.
yeah. And Soup in chat makes a point, like the special part could be units getting their special skills, and
Very
which we'll just
reasonable.
need more dupes to unlock. But I mean, it seems a little early for that. But I mean, I have no idea. It could be. It may not be.
I mean,
at all.
because this game. I mean, how far ahead are they in Japan? Are they a full year? Or are they like 8 months ahead?
I think a year and 4 months or something.
Oh, a year
like
and
that.
4 months. So they're pretty far ahead. So how many?
Yeah.
If you, I don't know if you know, because I know nothing about JP. Just because I don't even know how to look up the information. I'm kind of a dork when it comes to trying to find this stuff out. But like, how many crossovers have they had? Like, have they been doing like one every 2 months? About every?
Okay. So I'm gonna say a lot of things off the top of my head. I don't have it in front of me, but I have a pretty good memory. As soon as I start playing a game, I dive deep into everything. I've read probably every single Reddit and every single. Very opposite of you. I've read everything. They have Bravely Default, and then I think it came out around 6 months after release. And then they ran it before they had another collab. But my theory on that is that it was 2020. They may not have had the next one ready yet, or it might have extended some time in which it was going to take them to do the prep work, because they could have had delays from our COVID. But so they had Bravely Default, and then they had Nier was the next one after that, and then Triangle Strategy just happened around the release here in global. So I mean, I don't imagine we're going to see that for a long time. And I know in a video I mentioned that it's like, who knows? They could switch it up and bring it sooner, or it could be a year and a half from now. I don't know.
Have they always, for each of the crossovers that you're aware of? I honestly, I'm going to ask you for some resources where I could find like the Japanese wiki to just kind of read stuff, because I want to be able to provide better information for my audience. But I don't even know how to access that Japanese internet. That's how ignorant I am of this kind of stuff. I always rely on Meow database, because Meow was playing Tact when I played it, and so I always just ask other people. But do they always release a free character?
Not always. I know they do have one, and a lot of times they start at like a 3-star, and it takes a long time to be able to get the stuff you need to move them up to a 5-star. And I've seen some mixed thoughts out there of whether or not it's like worth the time on that, but I feel like for free to play it will be.
Yeah, I mean, there. Sorry, we cut out here for a second. All right, we're back. So yeah, it takes like a resource, but like I have a hard time seeing how it could not be worth it in a game without stamina, unless it's specifically like, oh, you need to spend a lot of limited time. But I mean, if it's just literally time, I mean, like, yeah, grind that shit up.
Don't quote me on this, but I think the resource is hunt oriented.
Okay. So, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. If it's something that's just time oriented, then yeah, sure, we'll just bang that out right away. but I think it's gated in a fashion there. So when it comes, I haven't looked too much in depth on that specifics. I like kind of getting a general sense of things, because if you get too specific and too detailed, and then it comes and it's been changed, then you look like an idiot or just mislead people. And so I try not to get too specific in things, even though I might know a little bit more than what I might state in a video or live here.
Got it. It's really weird that Bravely Default is, I mean, it's not weird in a sense, like obviously it makes sense because it's the same devs, right? Or it's at least, franchise adjacent. But it's like the concept, like the whole point of that game is that they have no jobs. Like everyone has their own, like flavor wise, like the game is built around these characters constantly changing jobs, having any ability they could have in the game. So for them to have set kits in a game like this is gonna feel very weird. I assume Elvis, who I understand is common, is some sort of scholar-esque unit with magic, because that's what his base class is when you start the game.
Okay.
And so yeah, I feel like that's just a weird choice from a flavor perspective. But I guess they're just gonna do what they could do. I don't know, how do you feel about Bravely Default overall? I'm kind of mixed on it, on the sequel.
I played just the preview version of it, and then I didn't pick it up when it came out. It didn't hook me enough. But once again, it's one of those things where if I'm gonna play a game, like if this game was only available on the Switch, I still wouldn't be playing it. And it's a great game, but I just don't sit in front of the TV to play the Switch. And the portable piece of the Switch, my kid is all over. If you ever open that up, he immediately wants it and wants to take it from me. So I never get to play anything that's Switch related right now. So, so that's part of it. That's why I was like, I didn't pick up a lot of that stuff for that reason. But as far as the series, I kind of I enjoy from the pieces of that I have seen, but I haven't heard raving reviews about the new one either.
Yeah, I would say most people have felt that number 2, I wouldn't say is a letdown. Why is the volume so low? I'm trying. He's boosted. I would say most of the reviews I've heard is that he is it's not as good as the first one. Not like a letdown, but just not as good overall. So I don't know if you're missing out on too much. Like if you were gonna play one, maybe playing the first one again would be fun. But as far as like your gacha experience goes, you've said that you've played Final Fantasy. What are you playing besides Octopath right now? And like what else is taking up your time? Video game wise.
We spoke about it earlier, I think, before we were live, but I've been playing some Genshin, and I've been playing some Tower Fantasy. It's my sister. We kind of, that's our way of kind of connect. We play those those two games together. It's really nice because I used to be a WoW guy. I used to play WoW for I think I played for like 10 years before I gave up on Blizzard as a company in general.
Oh baby, you must be an Asmongold fan then.
I like him, but I didn't actually watch much YouTube back then. I watched Preach, and I watched Noble. I think I see more of Asmongold now than I did any time I was playing WoW. But I don't like PvP that much. So I stayed away from a lot of the PvP streamers.
What This isn't even about Octopath, but you piqued my interest now. What expansions in WoW did you play primarily?
So I started the day Burning Crusade came out.
Hell
that
yeah!
Was my entrance into it, and it'll always be my kind of favorite because I met so many people and everything was so fresh and new. As far as like the best content, we're probably gonna say Wrath.
Did you play Classic at all when that came out, or is it just not a time in your life for that anymore?
Nope. Didn't play Classic. Didn't play any of the Burning Crusade when they came out with that. And basically, I was done. Oh, I don't know, BFA or something like that. Like I'd come back for expansions and I'd play for a couple months and then I would just be like, it's not the same as it was. And I'm not even sure it's necessarily a fault of the company. I think I've just moved on from it,
Absolutely. like I'm a Kata baby, I think is what we were called. Oh, I didn't get a chance. There was a lot of barriers of entry to World of Warcraft. I wanted to play almost the day it was released, but in that time period, having a computer that could run it alone, like I remember I told my dad, it's like it's 10 gigabytes. He's like, that son, that's impossible. Nothing is 10 gigabytes. I was like, that's kind of like it's funny how things have changed now. Apex is like 120 gigabytes or some shit. But
Right.
then it's like, then you have to have an internet connection fast enough. Then you got to convince them to buy you the game and then the monthly subscription. So there's like a bunch of barriers to entry. But I finally got on at around Cataclysm. I think I might have got it on because I had a job finally, and I could pay for it myself. But so I played a lot of Cataclysm. But yeah, I kind of played for like one expansion. I got to like the level cap. I did some of like heroic dungeons, had a good time. But I wanted to go back when Classic came out. I was like, I never got to experience what the game was like when it first released. And I played so much Classic when it came out. I got to level 60 on my Hunter, and then TBC came out. I did every single quest in all of TBC. I did all the dungeons and the raids, and that's like TBC was like the peak of WoW for me in a way. I can't enjoy MMOs anymore because they're too different from that game, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
the charm of that game, the things that game allows you to do, Final Fantasy 14 just strictly isn't part of the game. Like I'm not a big PvPer, but nothing for me ever beats the world PvP. That's just the danger of it being there. Like there's so much charm for me when I'm level 12 or whatever, and I'm just trying to mine a copper node, and like maybe I was like level 60. I first got to the Outlands, and I'm trying to mine some ore, and then like a level 70 comes in at 280% flying mount, just one shots me, mines it, flies away, and I'm like, screw you, this sucks, I hate it. But then I'm level 70, and I get to do it to someone else, and then there's just like this whole world PvP element that no other game has had. Like the whole social interaction and the true hate relationship between Alliance and Horde, like not being able to talk to each other, like it brewed misunderstandings. Like you would be like, oh, we're kind of cool, but then you might accidentally target them, and now they think you betrayed them, and so like things were destined to be hostile between Alliance and Horde because you can't communicate. And there's something so special about it that I don't think they've replicated in another MMO. But that's not Octopath related, I suppose. But you said World of Warcraft, and I was like, huh?
Yeah. I took the detour there. It's okay. So.
Yeah, but I'm kind of done too. Like Wrath is coming out. I don't know if I'm gonna play Wrath for Classic. Maybe, I don't know. But I'm just kind of like I might start playing Tower of Fantasy. I'm looking for a side game to stream. Is Tower of Fantasy something you recommend as a free to play player? And do you play all your games free to play, or are you an Octopath free to play exclusive?
I spend in almost every other game. No, it's just Octopath that I do that. And a lot of times it's how long can I go before I'm not like having fun, or how can I think about, if I spend now, is it going to be better than later, or what's going to be enough? So like I spend in Genshin, I've spent in Tower of Fantasy. I can't say I'm the like super spender or anything like that. Anything just because I don't have the funds for that. So
and yeah, I mean, look, the way I see gacha is it's better to not spend because it's gacha.
Yeah.
But if you are gonna spend, kind of pick like a game, and use that, because spending $10 on 3 games, you're probably not extracting. Like gachas tend to want a lot of your time. Like that's kind of, they want to make it a habit. So trying to stretch yourself over lots of gachas is usually inefficient. But
Yeah,
some people live off that. They play like 5 gachas. They just kind of have this routine. That's the games they play. They go through, they do their daily stuff. And I tend to go like even though I don't read a lot of stuff, I tend to try to go a little bit deeper. I'm not satisfied not completing all the content in the game. Like I don't want there like, oh, this is a hard fight for whales only. I'm like, then I'm gonna be a fucking whale in this game because I want to complete that stupid stuff.
for me, a lot of it is just there escapes a little bit for me from all the other stuff I'm doing during the day and whatnot, and allows me to kind of like take a break at night and just kind of play a game. So yeah, I don't know. If I was going to say objectively, should you spend in a gacha? No, probably not. I mean, unless you have extra income to do whatever the heck you want with it. But I I find that if I'm spending just on one game, if I'm just playing one game, I'll at least end up spending more than if I'm playing a couple different games. Because then I don't know, maybe that sense of, oh, I got to pull here so I don't have to pull over here, and or maybe it's just not on my mind as much or something like that. I think there is something with that kind of tactic of spreading out to a couple games, but
I actually
I don't.
think I think that's pretty valuable in terms just to hear like it just to me that kind of says like hey everyone's mind literally works different, you know. The
Yeah.
way people perceive their spending and how they, you know, everyone pulls little mind tricks on themselves to convince, you know, when I'm working out and I'm running, I'm like I'm not running 5 miles, I'm running 1 mile 5 times, you know, like all the quick mental math you do can help trick your brain into doing things. So, yeah, some even though I always tend to focus on one gotcha, um yeah, playing a couple and spending less. There is an Echo Luke P. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Here, I'm trying to cover the mic. I'll do it like this. Um, next time it'll be fixed and it'll be a better conversation because I'll be more professional. Um, but besides that, I was gonna say something, but I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. So I know you said you were covering echoes, but why did you decide to, you know, if you spend money in Genshin, presumably, and you spend money in Tower of Fantasy, it sounds like. What is why did you not make content for those games and decide Octopath, the game you're free to play in?
Oh, I I don't know. That's kind of hard to tell. Uh, I just felt like more connected with my audience in an Octopath game because I feel like a lot of my same people who were playing Echoes of Mana started playing Octopath too. So I wanted to stay with the community I had kind of already had, even though I was kind of changing games. And I feel like there's quite a bit of a difference of an audience between an Octopath player and a Tower Fantasy player. There's definitely crossover, but I think if I were to switch with that. Um, then there wouldn't be as much as there is now because these are closer to the same games.
So would you say it's more of a it was more of a tactical decision content creation wise more than a pure interest level thing, or is it kind of a combination?
So uh, it's probably a combination. I am a 100% analytical thinker in everything I do. So there is kind of like that mindset for things, but I'm also 100% really enjoying Octopath Traveler. Every time that I sit down and I open the game, I never think, oh man, I gotta log in and get this done today. I love playing this game, and so that's one of the things that I knew I could be like passionate about to make content for over the course of the time. That and you can look at it like what is there like a good 5 or 6 of us who are the getting decent sort of views. I don't know how many content creators are because I don't watch that much of content either for the same reasons that you do. I try not to watch other YouTube videos, especially before I make a video on it as well. So
Yeah.
I may be unfamiliar with how many people are really out there. I just know we got Cheesy Cats and you and and Caps and I've kind of talked a little bit with all of them a little bit. So
So yeah, you know even more than me. I know Cats and I know you, and then on Twitch we have so I reached out to Cats initially as like the biggest, you know, seemingly the biggest creator, but mostly because they're incredibly knowledgeable of the game, right? They've actually have the year of experience, so I was more interested to quiz them on that, but um they weren't very interested. But then you were like right up next on the list because I'm like I don't see that many other people making YouTube content. Um, so every now and then I'll go like Octopath, Traveler, COTC, search YouTube, just kind of see whose videos comes up first. And obviously it shows me my videos, but I see almost only your videos, even before Cats, because you release more videos, I think, than Cats does in general. Um,
yeah, I try to especially when a game releases to hit it early and mostly a lot of the reasons I make videos is because I'm thinking about the game and then I'm like, okay, well, what can I kind of do to kind of put stuff out there? Because I haven't been a content creator very long. I really just started in what was it, late April. And I remember playing a game and you'd be like, man, I really just want to talk about the game. I want to see what somebody else has to say about the game. And so then you
mhm.
go to YouTube and nobody put a video out for the last like 3 days. And I'm like, okay, I know there's not a lot of new content or something like that, but I still want to watch something. I want to be engaged with other people in some sort of a fashion, you know. And so that when started doing content, I wanted to come out with at least something to kind of like have some interest and talk to people. And yeah, I know there's going to be some videos that I put out that, you know, maybe they're not the super you learned something today, but I want them to be like engaging enough for people to be like, hey, yeah, this is where I'm at in the game, and you know, I think you're doing something that's different than me, and I think my way's better. You know, that's fine. You know, you can tear me apart. It's great.
I mean, that's literally why I started making content, but I started quite a bit earlier. I mean, and even though like I'm making some money now, like it took me 4 or 5 years before I made even a dime um on it. So you're already well ahead. Like it took me probably 4 years to get to my 1,000 subscribers. And that was all those 1,000 subscribers, like 800 of them were a course of a week, and that last year. So um
Right.
you know I've definitely found that gotcha games definitely fill a niche, especially like because a lot of gotcha games are really good games. Well, I won't. Okay, let me take this back. What I mean is a lot of gotcha games are games that have niche audiences, so they're good games for content creators to kind of get a footing in. Because there's people like you said, they're looking for content on the game, and like Dragon Quest Tact has between 1 and 2, 1 to 3 content creators at this point. And when I played, there was literally no one that had made any content for the game at all. And I was like, I'm having fun with this game. I just kind of feel like talking about it. And, there was a lot of people in your exact same shoes that wanted content. And a lot of the content creators for that game were also, they're like, there wasn't enough to watch. So I wanted to talk about the game and think about the game. And so I started making videos so other people could share it. I could share it with people. And I think that's actually like really important when your content creation comes from a place of interest and it's not just fueled by especially views. Like as things goes on, like, do I have a video a day of interesting things to say on Octopath a month in? Right now, maybe not as much, but that's got my, even if I don't release a video every day, I'm streaming a little bit because I can still talk to people about the game and people ask me questions and it's fun.
Yeah, and the way I kind of look at it is if I think about if I'm making a video today, I can't assume that the people who are watching it have watched all my videos leading up to it. And so I
Yes.
might say some things that my general returning audience has maybe heard before, and that's okay because there's people who just started this game yesterday, or there's people who's going to start next week, or the people who just discovered you as a creator, and they're not going to go back and watch 50 videos. And so as long as you're kind of like, trying to teach and trying to do something, it doesn't always have to be some sort of a fresh thing. And it's okay to make the same video that 4 other people have made if you have like your own take on it too. So that's my kind of thought process on it. And I think games that have more content creators are better even for the content creators. So without, you're putting videos out and caps and cats, like when your videos are finished, if they're not just automatically clicking on an end screen or something like that to another one of yours, there's a good chance one of my videos is being recommended in those feeds. So it's a great way for us to kind of like share around the kind of knowledge pool. And so like some creators out there are like real like competitive in that nature, and I'm like, no, please, let's get more creators, get more voices out there. I may not be the giving the best information, but I want you to listen to this other guy. He may not be giving the best information, but maybe together we can make the best information. Kind of give people more voices to listen to.
That's 100% been like word for word my philosophy since I've started making content. Um, Being the only Dragon Quest Tact creator is not, or even hypothetically as the only Octopath, like it's not good for the game in general. Like maybe short term, like I get 20% more views or something because some people will watch my videos that wouldn't have because they don't have their normal content creator. But it's like outside of like it's not good for the health of the game long term. Like, having a strong base of content creators, I mean, like there's no flipping way Hearthstone would still be as popular as it is if it wasn't based off so many personalities that have kept that game alive over the years. A decade later, and the game has suffered every time it's lost a big name. I used to play a lot of Hearthstone, but it's like it's one of the reasons exactly, not to stroke my own whatever, but it's like the reason I'm doing this is because I like doing collaborations. I want my audience to find other people, and I want your audience to find other people. And, you know, even if like this doesn't actually equate to anything, like maybe I get no more subs, maybe you get no more subs, I still think it's good for the health of the game, for the content creators to overall be enjoying the game, enjoying the community, helping each other. You know, when the game gets more successful, all boats rise. You know, if the game doubles in player base, we're all going to get more viewers and subscribers and stuff like that. But also beyond any kind of numbers thing and even health of the game, it's just fun to talk to other people that are doing a similar thing that you're doing and have their own takes on it.
Yeah, and I don't think any of us are just regurgitating what the other person said from anything that I've seen so far. You know, at the end of the day, a lot of us are going to say yay or nay on a certain unit to pull, but you know, that's normal.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I guess my advice is like, whenever someone's like, should I pull on this? I'm like, there's too many variables for me to. I have no idea what your account is. I don't know what your income is. I don't know how many gems you have. If you mean like, is this unit good? Is this unit worth 6,000 gems? Most of the time, it's probably going to be no. Like, is this a 6,000? Are you willing to spend 6,000 gems on this unit? If no, then probably don't pull. But yeah, that's a question I think is maybe as a content creator, you just get a lot. You get a lot of same questions, like a lot of really general things, but also it's always like, should I pull on this? And that's like one of the hardest questions to answer because you just don't have good information.
And I totally get that. And I come from a world that's very much everything's a hard question. You know, we talked briefly, you know, the last time I dropped in your stream that I have a degree in philosophy. So just about every question you ask there doesn't have an answer. So,
Yep.
So I kind of live in an abstract sort of thought process anyway. Of whatever I say about yes pull or don't pull is always going to be based off of whatever variables that are unique to the individual. And I try to make that, you know, clear that, hey, in this sort of scenario, maybe it's a yes. In this sort of scenario, maybe it's a no. Or hell, if you just want to pull, you know, I'm not going to, I'm not going to stop you or call you, you know, out for doing that, you know. But give the information and say, hey, this is what I think is good about the unit. This is what I think is bad. This is how I think it relates maybe to other things. And do what you want, you know.
Absolutely, it's one of those things that's yeah, like sometimes people just need to have fun. Also, I mean, you're playing a fucking video game. Like you got to have fun playing your video game. So yeah, I actually tend to really like difficult questions like that. They're fun to answer and fun to, even with imperfect information, they're fun to, you know, first try to make assumptions of their situation, I guess, but based off what they're asking about. Because, you know, like obviously they're not a whale because they wouldn't ask in the first place. A whale that wants to pull every unit is going to do that regardless. So,
I also think that there's a size of the audience that are not going to be the people that are going to be in this chat, because anybody who's dedicated to watching a streamer on a game is already going to be in an epistemic position or a position of knowledge of understanding more about the game than other people. But there's people out there who they log in, they just do their casual thing. A new unit comes out that they didn't even know was coming or anything like that, and they're gonna look in. Hey, should I pull this unit? They're gonna look and see what somebody's kind of idea is, and that's okay, because at the end of that, they're gonna not pay any more attention to the game and just go back to doing what they're doing. And it's okay to be completely casual, and it's okay just to. And if you don't want to make the decision yourself, just to listen to somebody else and then and do it, as long as you're happy with that sort of social contract you're setting up with whoever you're watching. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that anyway. I'm just kind of responding here to Luke that you're not going to stop people from asking that question, because there are going to be people who just want to know that.
yeah, it's actually kind of a fun thing because like people who watch YouTube content is already a fraction of the audience. And then people who watch a stream of, you know, YouTube is even like a smaller franchise, because a lot of people are this is going to get less views than a video that I put out. That's just facts. All my streams get less views than the videos I put out. So it's an even smaller subset. And if to be honest, I would say maybe 80% of my audience, and maybe it's not quite that much, maybe it's just, and the people that type in chat are another, you know, fraction of the fraction of the fraction. Because I have 40 people whatever watching sometimes, and I only have like 5 in chat, so you know there's always more diluting of people. but like I would say it seems the 60 to 80% of my audience is probably more knowledgeable about the game than I am, because they tend to have a little bit of JP knowledge, whereas I have almost none. So I don't even know, like, I don't even fully understand why people even watch me. I think it's probably, I mean, obviously it's more personality driven than knowledge driven. Um, but I think it's kind of like if you and a friend are playing World of Warcraft together, I just because I can never get off World of Warcraft, it's like you don't care if you know more or less about them than the game. You're just having fun hanging out with a buddy playing a game, you know. Um, so I think that's kind of more. I think I'm more just like the hangout while you play the game kind of guy. Because like, yeah, there's not a lot of content. I tend to put out more content than other people at this game. So after they're done finishing content, people will still stop by for my stuff just so they can talk about the game, think about the game, and just be a buddy. So I'm thinking that's why, but I don't fully understand myself.
Yeah, people they just want to be engaged in the hobby that they're enjoying. Is a lot of it, and if I'm going to make a video about something, I want to think that I'm in a good position to make said video, that I've researched enough of it. But there's still times that I get comments that are like, "Hey, you didn't think about this," and then I learn a lot from the audience that way when I can say, okay, actually you're right. Next time I'll be more clear that I bring this up. This is my kind of thoughts on it right now, and it doesn't change maybe my overall thought of whether you should or shouldn't pull this unit, but it's something I should mention next time I talk about a similar character in the future. And I think that's a real important thing, is kind of learn from that, because like you said, you don't watch a lot of other YouTube content creators for the game, and I certainly don't watch a whole lot of those videos either. I think I've maybe watched 4 videos, and mostly just kind of trying to support some other creators. And with that being said, the viewers who are watching everybody, or maybe they're watching at least 2 or 3, and they've watched majority of everybody's videos, of course, they should know more because they're getting more perspective.
Yeah, absolutely, because they're getting the knowledge of other people combined with their the knowledge they had, and then they're getting Cat's knowledge, and then they're getting a global player's perspective, then they're getting, in your case, a free-to-play player's perspective that also knows about JP. So everyone does kind of have their own, because even though like Cats is what I'm going to call them, because I can never remember the first part of their name, is the most knowledgeable probably of all the players or of all the content creators, they still have this, they have their biases or perspective that they've been playing for a long time. No one remembers exactly what the game was like when it came out, or what it's like to have an account at a certain level after, a year's passed. So even though they have more knowledge, they definitely, you lose perspective about where things used to be. So that could definitely still be useful to a lot of people. And me, I'm not a free to play player. I spent like $500, $600 in this game already. And that's partially in my account's not that impressive for it, but it's because I like doing poll videos, and I'm at the point now where I have a company, quote unquote, it's Purplatypus game, so it's like a tax write-off if I use it in content. So it doesn't feel quite as, I mean, tax write-off doesn't make it free. I know that. It's still spending the money. I just do that. But so I'm spending it as a content creator. So even having someone like you that is free to play is like super valuable as well, I think, to the community, because there's no doubt that my perspective on things, as unbiased as I try to be, everyone has biases in some way. I only have my lived experience in this game, which involves having spent a couple $100s.
Yeah, and unless you're a Giga Whale, everybody is going to have a slightly different account to have to figure out how to do strengths and weaknesses for the different content that does come out. So everybody's going to have a little bit of different flavor or take, or this unit might be super good for me in my account but not others. So there is definitely that piece of it. I also look at it like JP had so much of a different structure of banner releases, and as far as content releases of the timing, that maybe the account that was okay then, or it was good to pull this unit then, it may not be good to pull that unit in global when they come. So like they have a decent knowledge base, sure, but it's just how much is going to maintain relevancy over here for that.
I can't tell you how much I agree with that. I get so frustrated when, like, I'm not denying the knowledge base of JP players and of people that have played the game for a long time, but I really hate when things are different here, because we've had different units and different orders, different pacing of the game, that they're like, this is a must-have unit always. It's the top tier on a JP tier list. It's the top tier on a JP tier list. I'm like, but you're missing the whole perspective that this is, even though the game is very similar in a lot of ways, there's differences, and small differences butterfly effect out to large different outcomes. Like, all I'm saying is don't blindly look at a tier list, even mine, and be like, hey, this is objectively the truth. Like, everything changes. There's, in a video game especially, it's really hard to find an objective right answer, unless you have perfect information, which everyone's accounts in a different spot. Our games are in a different spot. You can't have perfect information, you know? It's just like not possible.
And it's like, Nikki said there in chat, and I think that's kind of what we've been beating around is diversify from all the sources you can or want, and then make a decision.
Absolutely. Like, keep in mind, all the content creators are doing their best to provide the best information they can based off their situation and their perspectives, but no one's going to be perfect in all their information. I mean, I was wrong twofold just yesterday. I was like, I think Teucent Arena's coming out tomorrow, and I don't think the dancer Hasume or whatever is going to come out. I think she's just added to the game, but they're not going to release her yet. I was wrong on both those things. The arena didn't come out, and they did add the dancer lady. So,
hey, I learned pretty early on when I made a video of Hanet coming out because I thought we were going to follow a JP release, and now I have a video of a unit that's been unreleased for over a month now.
yeah.
So yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and what are you going to do, right? It just all you could do is all you could do is your best. All right. That's kind of like an advice I give to everybody in all aspects of life. Like, as long as you're doing the best you can, that doesn't mean don't grow and don't try to do better, but like, you can't live with regrets. You can't regret doing the best you could have done because you can't have done better, so just all we were doing, like, yeah, is it unreasonable to assume we would follow the JP schedule? No. That's not only unreasonable, that's incredibly reasonable. But now it's just like, it's apparently way different. Like, I heard we got Primrose quite a bit earlier than normal, as well, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, and Hasume was quite a ways out as well. So and it's okay. I don't mind that they're changing it around. I just had to learn pretty quickly from content creation to wait for some of those things. And I don't know who out there is the data miner. I've not seen any articles, but somebody knows the data miner that's getting this information early, which is somewhat helpful to a content creator. But ultimately, we just kind of wait until
I will say I'm probably gonna put in some effort to get into contact with them, because this was kind of the litmus test. I don't know if that's even the correct terminology, but like, I was like, okay, they data mine this character to come out and the arena won't be coming out. And I thought the opposite, but they've proven to me that their information is obviously better than my speculation. And so I'm like, all right, so I'm probably going to get into contact to see if I can get some information, not even to like, oh, I want to be the first on YouTube, but it's like, I just want to provide good information. Like, I do get quite a few people, even if my information is not perfect, I don't want to give bad information. So if I can, especially because a lot of people, like you said, like, it's one of the reasons I've gotten criticized a lot for, at least in TAC, not as much here, but for not looking in the JP. They're like, people shouldn't pull on this because it's not good in JP, and there's another unit coming out 3 weeks from now. I'm like, well, I didn't know, it's not in the game, so I don't know. So I've kind of always been ignorant of JP's stuff, but I think that sometimes that could be a benefit where I'm not releasing videos that are, I release videos for things that are in the game, not things that are speculated to be in the game based off JP. But I think a data miner is kind of the best of both worlds. Then we kind of know what's going to be in the game to talk about, and then we can continue forward. But a lot of people release content based off what came out in JP because it's very reasonable to do so.
Right.
I mean, and the changes are going to be, even if the changes are there, they're not like, we're not going to like open the game one day. It's like, oh, we got a Final Fantasy Tactics crossover today. I guess that wasn't on the JP schedule. I don't know. So it's not going to be like that extravagant or huge. They're really like little differences that can add up.
In some of the FFB areas, they've brought out global exclusive limited units.
That's so freaking cool.
Yeah, that special thing could be a brand new global exclusive unit that they made just for us, just to throw a wrench in everything. And that's why they do it, in my opinion, is, okay, you thought you knew what the meta was from JP? Here, let me throw this in there, and then you're not going to know.
I love that, even if it's like a nightmare for planning, which gacha, especially global gacha, is a lot about resource planning, because we do have foresight to an extent to help us inform us, whereas JP outside of data miners, they probably don't have anything, right? Because there's not another version of the game running ahead of them.
Right.
So but I really like, I just want anything in any kind of, because every global game I've played, which is almost tact only, it's like we were not only a copy paste of Japan, but we were a worse copy paste. Like they would skip some events to speed us up, and we wouldn't get
Yeah.
compensation for the missed stuff. And so we were just, everyone, like now everyone's like, hey, we've missed like 3 months of gems and stamina, and we're not getting anything for it. And the banners are coming out at a faster and faster rate. And so everyone's kind of pissed there. But like, I just want anything that's like, hey, you're not just a shitty version of our main game. You're like, we're going to release something just for you because you're your own game as well, and you actually matter. Something that makes global feel special, I guess is one way of putting it.
Right. Jason's saying they do post data mine info on the main Discord. Are you talking about Cat's Discord?
I'm gonna get into contact with the data miner. Hopefully, and just DM them.
Yeah.
And then just to, like, I don't want like a bunch of, I don't know. Like I do want the information that's available, I guess, but like I'm typically against data mining in a lot of ways, but this, in a game like a gacha where it's inherently predatory in terms of its models, like true, you could play for free and experience all the content, but the reason it's free to play is because they know they're making money off of the other players, right? Like it's, they're not making this game out of the goodness of their heart so everyone could play a great Octo game for free. They know that by not charging $5 to download the game, that they're likely to make more money from people that are going to spend money.
Right.
And so I feel like the moral obligation to give people better information to wisely spend their resources is better. Plus, I think developers, or at least the guys in charge of developers, undervalue making the player base happy. Like just releasing 2 badass units back to back, and so the player base can't afford them both, is not as valuable, I think, as trying to ensure everyone can have their cake and eat it too.
Right. I also think that Octopath's a little unique because we get 8 slots to work with, and then the content that you're facing is so different that the value of any particular unit actually is lower than in a lot of other gachas.
I agree.
So I do try to keep that in mind as well, which is probably why I try not to go all in on any of these current banners now. Especially when you know that later on we're getting people who can take care of 3 elements or 3 different weapon types with multi-hit abilities. And so I'm like, okay, well, this person is going to have more worth because I don't necessarily have to pull another one of the axe user, because I can just use this one that's got a 3 times axe as well. And so
It's true. The weakness system is pretty interesting because in some games like Dislight, it was like the weakness system, there was like 4 elements, and there was a little bit of a Fire Emblem thing, like you were guaranteed crits or whatever, which was like, I don't know, it was like a 20% damage boost, but it wasn't like, in this, it's like you can't beat shit if you don't bring any weaknesses. Like if you want to go up against a guy that's weak against staffs and fire, you bring all tomes and ice. Like unless you're insanely overpowered, you're never going to beat this unit. So it's like there aren't nearly as many just generally overpowered units. You definitely want a wider cast of characters for the different kinds of content. And I got a chubby Kate here. We're all focused on that now.
Nice.
But yeah, each individual, and there are, Fiora, regardless if they're weak to sword or not, is still, when they're broken, going to hit like a truck. But
yeah, and Jason, you're right. People want to know for future content's sake, and that's a pretty simple answer, really, for to kind of think about. It's just harder when you start to say on a particular unit. But right now, we're thinking about Arena. That's the next thing that's coming out. So what do? We did prep videos talking about best dancers. We're going to have another one coming out about the best bow users, because trust me, somewhere in this arena that you're going to want to use those without giving you guys too much information. So like. People do get some of that. It's just how much explicitly you're going to be getting it as if you're looking at spoilish content on things. And some people don't want to hear that, and that's okay for them to kind of go into something fresh.
yeah, it's
in any unit that's got multiple hit abilities on multiple weapon types or elemental types is going to be the next things that everybody's going to be pulling. Right now, pulling supports and healers and like buffers is great because they're going to have more longevity. Your straight DPS units that can only take care of one type of shielding are going to fall off very quickly. Like you'll still use them on specific content that you need multiples of those specific, shield breaking. But as an overall team thing, those are going to be the first to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's why, like, when I make my tier list, like, I try to take longevity into it as well instead of pure power level. Like, Fiora is really good. Like, she might be the individual hardest hitter in the game right now. Maybe Sophia's more, maybe, like, there's like a few that I think, depending on your weapons and the weaknesses and stuff, could be tossed up. But Fiora's one of them, but I don't think she has, like, the longevity of Viola, right? Viola just, what is she debuffs their attack and elemental attack, which is already huge. And then she could debuff their defense and elemental defense, which is huge. She can always break 2 shields, which is nice. Primrose, even though she does good damage, she can deal damage and darkness while debuffing. She has a crazy good AoE buff. These are the units that I think are just going to have a lot more longevity, as opposed to, Millard, and who no offense to Millard, I actually like Millard. I think he's better than a few of the other 5 stars, but I mean, he's going to fall off because he's got only individual hits on one element, or he's got light and he's got staff, and they're each 1 hit, and then he's got a good AoE heal. But, like, it's very easy to imagine a character power creeping the crap out of him, and we already did. We just got it today, right? We got a unit that just, the dancer is, like, straight up better than Millard at pretty much everything. I mean, she doesn't have the staff because she's a fan user, but multi-hit attacks, AoE SP recovery, AoE HP recovery.
So right now, and I know you don't watch my channel much, I've actually been spreading out tier lists. I don't like the whole joint, like, one all together. I've been doing the individual job type. And right now that kind of works because we don't have overlap between, this person's able to do, 2 or 3 different kind of multi-hit breaks. But when we move into that, it's very much going to be trying to make lists that say, okay, in this shield breaking type, these are the units you want to bring, rather than an overall listing of just who's the better one. Because in one content, Cyrus might be amazing, and in another content where there's none of those elemental weaknesses, he's gonna be like, why you're not gonna bring him? You're just not gonna bring him. So I like our tier list to be an indication of what kind of content you're facing or what kind of content you're potentially facing, instead of just a list that somebody gives you.
So I absolutely agree. And that's the kind of tier list that I would watch out of needing to know as a player. The only reason I don't do more advanced tier lists personally, is just people, if you're trying to reach a more general YouTube audience, they just like simple, easy answers. They don't like the nuances of like, oh yeah, this, but sometimes, and other times this, sometimes X, sometimes Y, sometimes Z, which is the way all things are actually answered. Like, people like just being able to click and then click at the end of the video and be like, okay, Primrose good, Lynette good. And so, like, that's one of those, that's kind of like a concession I make as a content creator. Like, I try to meet in the middle of trying to make videos that I know the viewers want to see, in videos that I want to make.
Sure.
There's always a little bit of concession there, because if you take it, even if you take a poll, viewers don't know what the hell they want. Trust me. I could do 100 polls over a couple years, like, hey, what game would you like to see me play on the side? And 90%, 150 people vote, I want to watch you play Legend of Dragoon. Legend of Dragoon comes up, no one watches it. It just, that's just kind of the way viewers are. And I'm not talking about any individuals in chat right now, but I'm just saying, there's not 1,000 people typing in chat right now, but when I get 2,000, 3,000 views on a video, there's a lot of people that are minorities of, they're fractions of groups that you got to try to appeal to, and they're not telling you their opinions. They tell you their opinion by clicking on it. And so I kind of got off on a tangent there. But the point is, like, I tend to make general, easy. I try to make it as unphilosophical as possible. I try to just give them something that they can click on and say, what is the, because they want to know the easy, objective, right answer. And I'm like, I'll do my best to give that to you. And then I try in my dialogue when I'm talking to then kind of break it down a little bit with a little more nuance. But people, I have found, like the visual representation of objective facts, even if it's not really objective.
Yeah. And see, that's why I break it down right now. And right now, what's working. We'll see what happens when we get 30 more units. But I feel like I can be a little more philosophical, but say in general, might be your best option. And if you were to see one of my tier list videos, I actually don't use like a tier list maker. I just do it all myself, and Canva. I just create most of my crap in there. But I at the end, I don't show like a whole list for people to just skip to. So it's either like you watch my video or you just click off. Like if you're just looking for that information, you'll have to try to find it in there. And I hope you just stay to kind of listen to something I say. And and viewers going to do what a viewer's going to do, and it's okay if it doesn't. They don't know the best views on the channel or the best retention for the same reason. Like you said, they just skip to the end and want to look. And that's okay in some respect, but I do think the value that I'm adding is the value of listening to what I have to say in those, and not just where I just put a picture on the screen.
100%. That's why I would typically not watch my own tier lists, but I would watch your tier list. I'm kind of in a weird spot now where I try, like, before I would purely make things that I only want to make, but like I wanted to play Tales of Symphonia on the side, and I decided I'm not going to play it because the viewer retention is bad, and I'll get more views just streaming Octopath, even if I'm just farming Kates while talking to a cool dude. And so like now that I'm making, not like a lot, but like in the last like 28 days, I made like $600 on YouTube. And that's like, this is enough money where I don't want to throw it away just because I kind of feel like playing a different game over another game. So I'll try to tailor my content to what my viewers want. I try to put an emphasis on entertainment over knowledge because I just don't have as much knowledge right now. But this is why I value a lot of creators, other creators, because I want there to be people that just have straight up more knowledge than me. Because I might be a little more casual in terms of, maybe not in terms of time spent, but in terms of knowledge and tactical decision making. But then people like you that like very, very nuanced and accurate information based off what we know. I think it adds a lot of value. And I think that's a perfect example of how content creators complement each other instead of, just stepping on each other's toes.
Yeah. I like, we keep coming back to just you watch everybody and then make your own decision. And I think that's the honestly, that's the, if I was going to give life advice about anything, that's what I would say. Oh my goodness, you got another koi there.
Yeah, these have been pretty lucky. What a crossover episode. It's good. Hopefully this isn't our only one. If he's having a good time, we'll absolutely do some more.
Yeah.
There's I could always do like, oh, I'm gonna, I could pretend being like turn 2, screw that guy. I could always pretend that's like, oh, I got a series of content creators lined up. Everyone wants to be on with the Plat, but it's like, no, I right now I'm having a good time talking with this gentleman, and I wouldn't mind making this a more, I don't know about consistent, but like, every few weeks thing, we talk about the state of the game. Right now is very much like, we're just kind of throwing it against the wall and seeing what sticks. We had never talked before this, so we're just kind of learning about each other. And we're not necessarily talking about the state of the game a ton, but that's because there's not that much to talk about this week, right? But I think like a week after Teucent Arena comes out and we both get our feet wet in it, I think that could be a fun conversation, talking about those fights and stuff and strategies and how we recommend people progress. But yeah, that's stuff we could all talk about later.
I think we're still somewhat in the honeymoon phase of the game too.
Yeah,
at least I am. I haven't been, seen problems here and there, and I know there's been that, people who have reviewed the game poorly or Reddit posts and stuff like that. You get that everywhere in every game, and I kind of did a video just kind of addressing some of those things. It just, some people thought this game was going to be like the original game, and they didn't realize that it was going to be a gotcha. And I totally get that, and I see that with almost every IP now that comes to mobile, where there's a good 20% if I were to throw a number out of people who downloaded it and then realize, oh, this is a mobile game and they'd never played a mobile game before, that or a gotcha game before. And that's a huge turnoff to people who download something without realizing what they're getting into. So
In a sense, I think you kind of had to be tricked into gotcha, because I think it's one of those things you look at from a value proposition, and it's obviously not good value for what you're getting until you're kind of in it. And then, like, I used to look at gotcha games, and I'd be like, why would you spend $60 to get 3 multis or whatever, or 2 multis? And but when you could spend $60 and just, you could buy Skyrim and Fallout New Vegas and Cyberpunk probably right now for $60 combined. Like, why would you spend the $60 on pixels that don't do anything instead of these full-fledged experiences? But it's like, honestly, you move the goalpost a lot as you kind of get into it, and then suddenly you're like, oh man, this poll is only $15 for this multi. That's a great deal. You start, you always move the goalpost, which is like fine. I don't know. I'm very negative on gotcha as a whole in terms of the system. I don't think it's very. I think gotcha is always a negative, but a game could be good despite the gotcha, which is why I like Octopath. I think Octopath is a good video game, despite the gotcha. I don't think the gotcha adds to its enjoyment value for me. There is a little bit of an element, right? The slot machine element, you don't know what you're going to get. Sometimes it's fun that you have a different account than another person. You've kind of built your own little experience, as opposed to everyone having the exact same experience. But I think that's mostly a bug, not a feature of the system.
Yeah, the way I look at it, at some point or another, we get hung out to dry on things, and if you're paying a monthly subscription to WoW, at least you're only paying that amount, and you have that social contract of that's what you're going to get, and you're going to get updated content. Well, in the gacha world, we know we're getting updated content, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, or in some cases monthly. You at least know that the game's going to be a continued service, at least for a while. There's nothing guaranteed. If a game's not doing well, they'll drop it. But, especially when you see a game that's doing well in another region, it's been out there for a while, it's still active and, doing well, coming over to a global setting, you at least have a year or two of a good game as long as you keep enjoying it. And so when you're thinking of it that way, you're like, okay, so I can put some money if I want to into this, because I do think entertainment versus money value is something that you can think about. It's the thing that I want to always encourage people to be aware of is the sociological methods that they get you to spend money when you're not actually budgeted or wanting to spend it, or they're when they're manipulating the money spending. If I can get you to spend 5 here, next month I can get you to spend 15, and then after that I can get you to spend 30. And you just want to be careful with those things, because there are people who are susceptible to gambling addictions and stuff like that, and that can be really destructive to people's lives.
Absolutely. And there's a million and one tricks that all gacha games use. I think this game is quote unquote one of the most moral gacha games I've played, for several reasons. Is it cheap? No, it's not cheap. That's not what I mean by it. But it's like, you want to do a multi, it's 300 gems. They actually sell 300 gems for $30. They don't obscure the cost. They don't sell you a 280 gem pack and then a 140 gem pack, so you have these 60 gems left over. They sell you the exact amount that you need to do the thing that you need. In most cases, there are some that's 1,000 gems, but you get 150 extra gems, which is enough for one. If you save it, that's a step up, right? 1,000 gems and a thing of the first step of a step up. So I think this game's more moral in some ways, but there's so many ways that games get you. There's a reason that they're like, hey, here's a starter pack, 99 cents. And you buy it, you're like, oh, starter pack level 2, this one's $4.99. And then it's like starter pack level 3, 800% value. You get 30, it's $49.99, but you get a free legendary hero. And, there's a reason that they have all these things locked behind you making these initial purchases, because it's step ups are built into games in a lot of ways that are, not as obvious, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to. The point is, I'm just trying to say is yeah, everyone be aware of what you're getting for what you're spending, and I don't care. Everyone has their thing. I can't tell you how many people I see go into casinos and just throw money away for 3 hours and then leave, you know, and then come back the next day or the day after, just throw away. Like some people's thing is cars that are way nicer than they need to drive to where they need to go. Some people's thing is everything. All I know is everyone wastes money on something, and it's not necessarily a waste if you enjoy it, you know, but everyone spends more than they have to on a thing. Just make sure you stay within your limit and you're aware of what you're doing, and don't try your best to avoid the tricks that they lay down, or at least make yourself aware of them.
Yeah, and I've been prior to being a stay-at-home dad. I was very much in sales, and so I have a more keen ear to sales pitches. And then after playing so many gotchas, I'm much more keen on the kind of things that they try to do to get you to spend. You know, like our step-up banners. You think like they put up a free 5-star at the end, at the step, last step, because they wanting to be kind, or is it a way to get you to spend 1,200 of your gems? That way, when the next regular banner unit that you really want comes, that you're not going to just like, oh, I need to spend money to get that one, or when the collab comes or something like that. Sure, pities are great, but pities also encourage spending to a certain amount as well. And they know that 1,200 rubies is going to be sometimes more than what you're going to get a month, or exactly what you're going to get a month, so you can't save.
Yeah, I mean that's like a very, very important point that I think I've poorly articulated in my argument against people pulling on step ups as they come out. Is I don't think I've done a good job of articulating. It's like, that's 1,200 gems you don't have for the future. You know, it's not like, even if it's like a reasonable deal then for what you're getting, in a sense, it's still not, you still have 1,200 less gems. And as a free to play player, it means you never get a save. If you pull on every step up, you're never going to be pulling on really, really good stuff. You're always going to be pulling on the hand-me-downs and never have anything saved up.
Well, and there's a cost benefit analysis to everything. If it was guaranteed to be one of the featured units, then that value goes way up. Because what if you could use both of those units? But nothing feels worse than pulling all the way through a step-up banner, getting no 5 stars, and then getting a dupe that you didn't really need on a unit.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I can get Theo number 4. When I have a 4.5 Scarecrow on my account, and Scarecrow at 4.5 stars is like he's a piece of crap. He's like, I think a 4.5 star Scarecrow is easily the worst out of all the 4.5 stars, because he doesn't have either of his 4x attacks. His damage is okay, but not great. But it's like, his utility is just like dookie. And so I really need a 5-star Scarecrow. But it's like, am I going to spend 1,200 gems to probably still not? I'm still less likely to get it than I am to get it. Like, it's not like it's not only is it not a 50-50, it's like, it's still like a 20% chance or a 25% chance or something to get it on the 5th step, I think.
Yeah. So that's just, that's why I haven't pulled a complete step up yet. But in some people mind, it might be okay for them in their situation and whatnot. So heck, if you're spending a little bit of money in the game that you're willing to buy, 1,200 crystals a month, and sure, whatever,
Yeah, and like, I think maybe the very first step up might have extra value, especially because everyone find out we were getting compensation, and then they could spend, and then they can get the guaranteed 5-star, then a guaranteed one of the 2 5-stars on top of whatever they get on the way. Like, that's definitely, like, I'm still pretty harsh against step ups, but I do think exactly what you said. I think it greatly affects the cost benefit analysis. It greatly makes it much more of a benefit. Even if I think the cost is still high, I think that the benefit's much higher too. I've heard a lot of people talk about I don't know where this came in, but like, this isn't about gotchas. This is kind of off topic, but like, I've heard a lot of people talk about video games, and they've proudly stated something like, I evaluate the value of games based on a $1 per hour value. If I spend $60 for a game, I should get 60 hours of value. I've heard this talked about like a surprisingly large amount, honestly, like about people thinking games should, $1 for 1 hour. And this makes literally no sense to me if you think about it for more than 2 seconds. I don't understand. I don't even, because like, to me, that what that says is like, all right, one of my favorite games of all time is Limbo, which is like $20, but it's like a 1.5 hour to 3 hour experience. It's like, that game was easily worth $20. Like, no doubt, I would have spent $40 on that game probably, or bought it twice. But like, this $1 per hour thing is just, have you heard that? Is that common, or am I alone?
I haven't necessarily heard a number attributed to it, but I would say I had a very similar viewpoint. I used to think, you know what, if I go see a movie, it's a 2.5 hour to 3 hour movie, so let's call it a 3 hour experience. By the time I get in there, I pay for a movie ticket. I bring, bring my best girl, my wife now, and then we get some popcorn, a good drink, and we have a good time for those 3 hours that we're there. But that experience cost me at least $50. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, especially today. I had this thought, 10 years ago when things were cheaper. Now I'm just getting old when I have to keep saying things were cheaper back in my day. But
Absolutely. Don't even get me started on gas prices.
in general, I would think, okay, so if it's going to cost me like, $50, then maybe somewhere around, an hour's worth of enjoyment is something like $13. I know I'm already willing to spend $13 because if I'm not enjoying it that much, I'll just go to the theater. So
Yeah.
if I have to pay more than that, then I'm like, oh, maybe I'd just rather go see a movie than buy this game or something like that. But there's always going to be a threshold where you're talking like this is within your budgeted entertainment for the month, And I think that's where a lot of people miss out. But I also think that 98%, and that's just a random statistic, don't budget anything at all. Like they don't have a budget that they look at all. So when you're talking about entertainment versus a money ratio, they think it could scale infinitely. When then that's not the case. It's like I only have $50 to spend this month on entertainment or whatever, or this week, however your finances line up. And so then you're saying, okay, would I rather spend this 50 here or this 50 there? And what hours wise does that kind of give me for entertainment? Because I don't want to spend $100 over here, $50 over here, and I don't feel satisfied for the rest of the month before I renew that budget. Does that kind of make sense?
That does make sense to me, and I guess a lot. I feel like it misses an axis where I don't feel like people always take into account the quality of the entertainment when they do these analyses.
Yeah.
Where
totally agree, because you're right.
two levels of entertainment aren't always equal. I mean, when it comes to like movies and stuff, I think that is a little more flat. Even if you don't know if you're gonna like or hate a movie before you go into it, so it's kind of a gamble initially anyway. But
You want to say hello?
hi.
Look right here.
Hello.
Somebody wants his drink filled. He needs more drink.
Does he play Genshin?
Actually, he does have, because he wants to play what Daddy plays. And so I actually have him set up on his own little account that he kind of runs around on with his like low-level units and just run around the map and just kind of entertain him a little bit. So
It's so fun. I played Genshin for 80 hours, and I don't know if I went to the second zone or whatever. I think I just stayed in the first zone, collected all the stupid knickknacks, and killed slimes and watching them explode. Like, the game is a lot of fun just to run around in, so I get it.
But, we've had some really good conversation here, but I'm sure this guy's probably
Yeah.
wanting to get food, and I need to get some food and go hang out with this guy for a little while. So
Hey,
I
no
definitely
problem. You
wanna-
never need to feel bad about ending it because I would stay here for another 3 hours. I got nothing. It's my day off work. I got nothing to do and no responsibilities.
Yeah, no
So-
worries.
You got to live your life, and the Plat's got to pretend to live his.
Yeah, while I was restarting computers, I got him set up on a movie and got him a snack. But now I need to go and hang out with him for the rest of the afternoon here until Mom gets home, which shouldn't be too long, I think. So. But it's been nice chilling and hanging out and some good conversation. So thank you, chat, for having me here and been
Let's,
interactive and talking with us.
Really quick before you go, where can I'm gonna put a link to your YouTube channel, but where can people find you? I guess is it mostly on YouTube right now?
Yeah, I'm pretty much on YouTube. I'm on Twitter. Nobody ever talks to me on Twitter or follows me on Twitter because I hardly ever tweet anything. But it is an avenue of people if they wanted to have a conversation. I have my Discord as well, which is linked at the description of all my videos. And Yep. I'll open it. I'll get you more juice, buddy. And
Awesome. Well,
yeah.
I'll let you go. So let's get him up to 1,000 subscribers. Everyone, if you're watching, please go subscribe. You probably already are, but in case you're not, he's at 810 from what I see right now. Let's get him up to that 1,000. All right. You wanted to get 1,000 before 6 months, is what I heard.
Yep. That's what I'm working on. 1,000 for 6 months. So basically, I became a stay-at-home dad. I used to do traveling sales to dental offices, so I know all those things that they put in your mouth. I pretty much know what all those things are and how to maintain them, and you know, the purchase value of a lot of that stuff. So that's all buried somewhere in the back of my head. But when COVID hit, I ended up being let go from that because the dentist office weren't open, and so I've just been hanging out with my kid, pulled him out of daycare, and we've been at home. So I started up some content creating here just about 4 months ago, and I've just been trying to see where that takes me. And no, sorry, he's just over here talking at me too. But yeah, I've just been my kind of thought when I started was see if I can get this up and going in 6 months. So we're on track for that. So just thanks for everybody that watches and supports.
Awesome. Yeah. So make sure you guys give him a follow. I hope we could do this again. I'm gonna see if how bad the echo is on this video when I actually edit it to see if I can go on YouTube or if I screwed up the quality too much. But regardless, I hope after maybe next week, maybe a few days later in the week after we get some time with the Teucent Arena, I would love to do another one if you're interested.
Yeah, sounds great.
All right. Well, I'll let you go. You have a wonderful day. Enjoy spending time with your children. I will enjoy spending time with my chat, which are my children.
Sounds good. Thank you much.
All right. Hey, see ya.
Bye.